Before CGI took over television, The Fall Guy gave viewers the real thrill. Crashing cars, wild jumps, bar fights, and a stuntman who lived like every day could be his last scene. Lee Majors became the face of that fearless 80s energy. But the years after the show were not all lights, fame, and applause. Time changed the cast, took many familiar faces, and left only a few still standing in 2026. Now, let's roll back the tape and see where they are today. Howie Munson was played by Douglas Barr at the age of 32. Young, eager, and always a little too excited for the chaos Colt Seavers pulled him into. Howie gave The Fall Guy its buddy comedy spark. He was the cousin learning the stuntman life the hard way, usually with a look that said he had no idea how dangerous the day was about to get. Currently 77, after acting he moved into directing, writing, and producing, and later became involved in the wine business, a very different lane from crashing through fences and chasing fugitives across dusty backlots. Howie made the show lighter. Colt was the cool stuntman hero, but Howie was the guy trying to keep up, asking the nervous questions, and getting pulled into trouble before he was ready. That made him easy to like, because he felt like the audience's way into Colt's wild. Terry Michaels was played by Markie Post at the age of 31. Smart, pretty, and tough enough to deal with Colt's reckless world, Terry brought a sharper law and order angle into The Fall Guy. She was not just there to smile at the stuntman hero, she had her own confidence, her own job, and enough attitude to push back when Colt got too charming. Markie Post passed away in 2021 at the age of 70 after battling cancer. Her death hit especially hard for viewers who grew up with her warm, funny presence on television. After The Fall Guy, she became even more familiar through Night Court, where Christine Sullivan turned her into one of 80s sitcom TV's most beloved faces. Terry gave the early show a nice balance. Colt had the truck, the stunts, and the cowboy swagger, but Terry brought brains, polish, and a little romantic tension. She helped make The Fall Guy feel like more than just explosions and car jumps. There was charm in the chase, too. Kay Faulkner was played by Judith Chapman at the age of 30. Sharp, glamorous, and carrying that polished early 80s TV confidence. Kay fit right into Colt Seavers' world of bail bonds, backlot danger, and Hollywood trouble. She brought a little soap opera sparkle to the action, the kind of presence that made even a guest role feel bigger than expected. Now 74, she is still very much remembered by daytime TV fans. Her career later became closely tied to The Young and the Restless and other soap roles, where that mix of elegance, edge, and dramatic timing worked perfectly. She always had the kind of screen energy that could turn a room tense without raising her voice. Kay added some stylish friction to The Fall Guy. The show already had trucks, stunts, fistfights, and Colt's cowboy charm, but characters like her gave each episode that extra bit of Hollywood gloss. In a series about stunt work and bounty hunting, glamour and trouble usually arrived together. Pete Williams was played by Red West at the age of 47. Rough, solid, and looking like a man who had already been through a few bar fights, Pete brought real tough guy flavor into The Fall Guy. He fit naturally in a show where stuntmen, fugitives, and old-school action types were always crossing paths. He died in 2017 at the age of 81 after an aortic aneurysm. Before many viewers knew him as a character actor, he had been part of Elvis Presley's inner circle and worked as a songwriter, stuntman, and bodyguard. That real-life toughness gave his screen presence a little extra grit. Pete belonged perfectly in Colt Seavers' world. The Fall Guy needed people who looked like they could take a punch, throw one back, and still have a story to tell afterward. Red West had that lived-in, road-worn energy that made a small role feel like it came with history. Mr. Fick was played by Sid Haig at the age of 43. Strange, hard-looking, and instantly memorable, Fick brought one of those faces you do not forget into The Fall Guy. He had the kind of screen presence that made him look dangerous before he even said much, which was perfect for an action-adventure show built on trouble. He passed away in 2019 at the age of 80 after heart and lung complications. Long after his early TV work, he became a cult horror icon through House of 1000 Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, where Captain Spaulding turned him into a completely different kind of fan favorite. Fick feels like one of those roles that gets more fun when you look back. At the time, he was part of Colt's weekly world of crooks, oddballs, and dangerous characters. Years later, fans can spot Sid Haig and immediately think, of course this guy would show up here. Colt Seavers was played by Lee Majors at the age of 42. Cool, rugged, and basically built for the whole stuntman cowboy fantasy, Colt was the guy who could crash a truck, chase a fugitive, and still walk away with that relaxed grin. He gave the Fall Guy its engine: Hollywood action, country swagger, and just enough charm to make the danger feel fun. As of now 87, he is still instantly tied to classic TV action for a lot of viewers. Before Colt, he had already become a huge name through the $6 Million Man, and the Fall Guy gave him another signature role. This time less bionic superhero, more working stuntman with a pickup truck and a very dangerous side hustle. Colt worked because he felt like an old-school action hero who did not take himself too seriously. He had the jumps, fights, and tough guy moments, but there was always a wink in the middle of it. That mix made him perfect for early 80s TV. Rugged, fun, and completely rewatchable. Samantha Jack was played by Jo-Ann Flug at the age of 41. Smart, stylish, and bringing a cooler adult presence into Colt's world, Samantha gave the Fall Guy a little more polish around all the dust, stunts, and bounty hunting chaos. She had that early 80s TV confidence that made her feel like she knew exactly how to handle men like Colt. Today, at 86, she is still remembered by classic TV fans for a career that moved through comedy, drama, and game show culture. Before this role, she had already appeared in MASH, The Love Boat, and other familiar shows, bringing that bright, self-assured screen presence viewers recognized right away. Samantha added a nice change of pace to the show's rougher action energy. Colt had the truck and the stunt work, but characters like her brought sophistication and a bit of grown-up tension. She made the world feel more Hollywood, less junkyard, and that balance helped the series keep its charm. Nick Traynor was played by Terry Kaiser at the age of 43. Slick, lively, and carrying that slightly slippery guest star energy, Nick fit right into the Fall Guy's world of Hollywood deals, shady characters, and trouble waiting behind every handshake. He had the kind of face that made you wonder whether he was helping Colt or setting him up. These days, at 86, he is still best remembered by many viewers for Weekend at Bernie's, where he somehow turned a dead body into one of 80s comedy's strangest running jokes. His career also included Hill Street Blues, Three's Company, and a long list of TV appearances where his timing always had a little bite. Nick is exactly the kind of character the Fall Guy loved to throw into the mix. The show needed stunts, yes, but it also needed colorful people who made every case feel like show business had gone sideways. Kaiser brought that slightly offbeat spark that made even a one-episode role fun. Colleen Wilcox was played by Mary Crosby at the age of 22. Young, polished, and carrying that early 80s TV glamour, Colleen slipped easily into Colt Seaver's world of trouble, charm, and Hollywood danger. She had the kind of guest star presence that made a case feel a little more stylish the moment she appeared. Currently 66, she is still remembered by many viewers for one of television's biggest cliffhanger moments, Kristen Shepard on Dallas, the woman behind the famous "Who Shot JR" reveal. Her career also moved through film, TV movies, and guest roles, but that Dallas moment followed her everywhere. Colleen feels like part of the Fall Guy's classic guest star fun. The show always had room for familiar faces, glamorous trouble, and people who looked like they belonged on a studio backlot. Mary Crosby brought that glossy primetime energy that fit the series perfectly. Director was played by Ben Cooper at the age of 48. Practical, showbiz weary, and right at home in the behind-the-scenes world of stunt work, the director fit the series' Hollywood playground perfectly. The Fall Guy was not just about chasing fugitives, it loved the chaos of sets, cameras, egos, and action scenes gone wrong. Ben Cooper passed away in 2020, at the age of 86 after a long illness. Long before this role, he had been a familiar face in westerns, especially Johnny Guitar, and spent decades moving through film and television. He had that old Hollywood working actor feel that suited a show about stuntmen. The director added to the fun meta side of the series. Colt was a stuntman first, so every film set character helped remind viewers that danger was his day job even before the bounty hunting started. In this world, Hollywood was not just scenery, it was part of the whole joke. Edmund Trench was played by Robert Donner at the age of 54. Scruffy, sharp-faced, and carrying that perfect old character-actor weirdness, Trench looked like the kind of guy who had wandered out of a dusty western and into Colt's latest problem. He brought instant texture, even before the scene had time to explain him. Robert Donner passed away in 2006 at the age of 75 after a heart attack. Across his career, he became familiar from westerns, comedies, and TV guest spots, including Cool Hand Luke, Mork and Mindy, and The Waltons. He was one of those faces old TV fans know immediately, even if the name takes a second. Trench gave the Fall Guy exactly the kind of rough little flavor it liked. Colt's world needed crooks, oddballs, old-timers, and troublemakers who felt slightly larger than life. Donner had that lived-in face and dusty comic edge that made small roles feel fun. Pearl was played by Nedra Volz, at the age of 77. Small, sharp, and full of that wonderful grandma with attitude energy, Pearl brought a different kind of comedy into the Fall Guy. She did not need to be part of the stunts or the car chases. Just seeing her in Colt's rough action world made the scene feel funnier. She passed away in 2003 at the age of 94 after complications from Alzheimer's disease. Before and after this role, she became a familiar face in American sitcoms, especially as Adelaide on Different Strokes and Ms. Emma Tisdale on The Dukes of Hazzard. Pearl added that old TV character charm the series loved. The Fall Guy was built on action, trucks, and Hollywood trouble, but it also had room for odd little guest roles that made each episode feel looser and more playful. Volz had the perfect face for that kind of scene.